You're listening to Final Broadcast, 1113.7 FM, Midnight Radio, for the Pacific Coast. The rain hasn't stopped. I'm still here, alone in the booth. My name's not important. Not anymore. It's just me and the signal, and you, wherever you are. Maybe you're inland already. Maybe you're still in your house, by the beach. Maybe you're driving north, with the windows fogged, and this signal cutting in and out. Wherever you are, thank you for staying tuned. I'll keep this going, as long as I can. They said it wouldn't reach us. They said it was low risk. Then the ocean pulled back. So far it looked like the end of the world. A few moments ago, the National Weather Service upgraded the alert. They said the first waves hit parts of Alaska, then Oregon, Northern California is next. We're somewhere in between. The lights in the hallway flickered not long ago, but the generator's holding. I'll read you the latest statement. This is an emergency broadcast from the National Weather Service. A tsunami warning is now in effect for the entire Pacific Coast, from Southern California to Washington State. All coastal residents are advised to seek higher ground immediately. This is not a drill. They've been repeating it again and again. Same words, same voice, calm, empty, like it's just another protocol. Anyway, you're not alone. We've got messages coming in from listeners. I'll read a few now. Hey, this is Sam from Santa Cruz. I don't know if this is really happening. The ocean pulled back a while ago. It's like a breath being held. I'm just waiting. Thank you, Sam. I'm waiting too. I'm up in Crescent City. Everything's quiet. Weirdly quiet. No sirens yet. Just your voice. And the rain. You're still connected, Crescent City. Still here. My power's out. But somehow the radio still works. I'm lighting candles. Thank you for being here. Morgan. Portland. Thank you, Morgan, for still listening. My name's Alan. I'm 68, alone in my apartment in Long Beach. I've seen a lot of storms, but this one feels different. Alan, I'm with you. You're not alone tonight. Some of you are asking what caused it. From what I can gather, a deep-sea quake off the Aleutian Trench. It registered a 9.1, the kind of thing you don't just walk off. Waves are already reported near Eureka, water moving fast, sweeping cars like they're paper. That's the last confirmed report I saw before the network started slowing down. Phones are failing in some areas. Internet too, but radio, old as it is, it keeps going. This is Daniel. My grandma used to tell me stories about the sea swallowing cities. I thought they were just stories. Maybe we all did. Daniel, until tonight, let me give you another update. Local authorities confirm waves up to 80 feet have made landfall in parts of Northern California. Further impact expected along the Oregon coast. Avoid all low-lying areas. You hear that? If you're in a coastal zone, now's your time. Move inland. If you can. If you're stuck. If you can't move, go up. Get to the highest floor. Don't use elevators. If you're already safe, stay there. I'm going to read a few more messages. Keep sending them. I'll keep reading. We moved here from Ohio 6 months ago. Never thought the ocean could be this quiet and this loud at the same time. Impanlu, San Diego. I heard birds flying inland hours ago. That's when I knew. Nature knows before we do. I'm in a hospital. They moved the patients to the higher floors. I'm on night shift. Still listening. Eureka RN. There's a dog barking on the next block, non-stop. My heart won't calm down, but your voice helps. I'm not sure why I'm sending this. Maybe because it feels like no one else is awake. If that's how you feel, I'm awake too. I'll be here. The station's small, local. We've been doing graveyard shifts for years. Usually it's late-night jazz, call-ins, old records. But tonight's different. The phone line's down, but the email's still trickling in. It's strange. You know, the city feels hollow, not panicked, just empty. The streets outside are wet, glistening. One traffic light still works. It blinks red into the mist. I've seen maybe 3 people through the glass. One woman was running with a bag. One man stood still looking at the ocean like he was waiting for an answer. And one, I'm not sure, maybe just someone lost. Let me check the inbox again. If this is the end, it's oddly peaceful. I'm sitting on my roof with tea and a blanket, just waiting. Can't argue with that. I'm in a church basement with 14 people. Some are praying. I'm just listening. I was going to propose tomorrow. I guess it'll have to be now. That one got me. The moon is huge tonight. It looks too calm for all this. Yes, it does. I saw it too when I stepped out for a minute. The kind of moon that makes you feel small in a good way. Sometimes, but not tonight. Let me check for new updates. This is a message from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Your safety is our priority. If you are unable to evacuate, move to the highest level of your building. Do not use elevators. Remain calm. Further instructions will follow. If you're hearing this, and you're alone, you're not. I promise you that. There are thousands of us still listening to the same signal, still waiting under the same sky, hearing the same rain. Final broadcast will stay on the air until the water takes the tower, or the power goes. Whichever comes first. Stay with me. We're not done yet. Some of you are asking if the wave already hit. Not here. Not yet. But it has. Elsewhere. Reports are still coming in. Delayed. Fragmented. Northern towns are starting to go silent. Not all of them. Just some. Power outages, communications cut. Nothing dramatic. No explosions or screams. Just a steady drop in signal, like lights going out one by one across a long hallway. Here's the latest. From the emergency broadcast system. A tsunami of significant magnitude has made landfall in multiple locations along the Pacific coastline. Structural damage has been reported. Low-lying areas are at extreme risk. Residents are urged to remain in elevated locations until further notice. We've had that same message 3 times now. They don't say where or how bad, just that it's happening. Another listener message just came in. My son is asleep in the next room. He doesn't know. I didn't wake him. I don't want him to be afraid. I'm sitting by the door, holding my breath. Thank you for writing. I can feel the silence in that moment, the way fear can fold itself into love. Another one. I'm in a parking garage with a couple of strangers. We climbed up past the 4th floor. Someone left their radio on, and we're all huddled around it now. No one's talking. We're just listening. And this. My name is Olivia. I'm on a hill somewhere outside Ventura. I don't know if it's high enough, but I didn't want to stay inside. The stars are out. It doesn't feel like the end of the world. Not yet. Thank you, Olivia, for painting the sky for us. Earlier, someone asked me why I'm still here. I don't really have an answer. Maybe it's habit. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe it's because the air feels heavier tonight, and silence feels dangerous. But also because this is what I know how to do. I talk, and I wait for someone to talk back. That's the only rhythm I've ever trusted. Another update. Federal and state officials have issued mandatory evacuation orders for coastal counties across California, Oregon, and Washington. Do not return to coastal areas until given official clearance. Law enforcement and emergency services are on high alert. They're doing what they can. I know it's not perfect, but there are people out there trying to help. If you're one of them, and you're listening, thank you. I'm going to read a few more messages. We danced in the kitchen for a while, just me and her. We figured if it's coming, we might as well go out with music. I tried to call my brother in Seattle, but the line cut off halfway through. I hope he's listening to this. I haven't cried yet. That's the weird part. I keep expecting to, but I just feel still. I'm not sure what that means. I walk to the bluff to watch the water. It's darker than usual, like it's waiting for something too. I've never been this scared in my life, but I've also never felt more awake. To whoever's listening right now, breathe. That's all you have to do for the next few seconds. Just breathe. You don't have to move. You don't have to
You just have to stay here with me. More messages coming in now. There's a guy with a guitar sitting outside the shelter. He's playing softly. Nobody asked him to stop. My mom fell asleep holding my hand. She told me to wake her if anything changes. I don't think I will. I'm in a warehouse on the edge of town. It's leaking from the roof, but it's high. I brought a flashlight, some water, and your voice. Your voice that keeps coming up. The idea that somehow this signal, this sound can mean something. Maybe it's because it reminds us that the world hasn't gone completely silent yet, that there's still someone else awake, still someone telling stories in the dark. Let me check one more message before I go back to the updates. We're not scared anymore, just waiting. There's 5 of us in here, and we've stopped checking the time. Yes, time feels strange now, like it's stretched out waiting to snap. The emergency broadcast just repeated the same message again. This is a message from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. If you are unable to evacuate, move to the highest level of your building. Do not use elevators. Remain calm. Further instructions will follow. I know you've heard it already. I'll keep reading it anyway. Some of you are in safe places. Some are not. But all of us right now are under the same sky, hearing the same rain. And this broadcast, this is our last light in the hallway. So let it shine a little longer. More, stay close. There's a low hum behind everything tonight. Not just the rain or the wind. It's deeper. Almost like the ground itself is holding something back. Sometimes I think I can hear the ocean breathing. Not waves, not movement, breathing. Someone sent this. I sat on the porch for a while, just listening. No cars, no people, just the sound of water falling from the sky. I've never heard this city so quiet. And another, I used to hate silence. I'd fill every room with sound, music, anything. But now, silence feels like a blanket, like it's trying to protect me. There's something holy in the stillness, isn't there? Something ancient, not comforting, exactly, but present. This is an emergency bulletin from the State Department of Public Safety. Multiple tsunami waves have impacted the Pacific Northwest. Further waves may follow. Please remain in elevated shelters or inland areas. Emergency services are active, but limited.
avoid bridges and coastal highways. The longer this goes on, the more unreal it feels. We're in the kind of moment that stories are written about, but no one really knows how to live through, only how to remember later. If there's a later, another listener message. My dad turned off the TV hours ago and hasn't said a word since. We're just sitting in the kitchen with candles lit. I think he's listening to you too. Thank you for writing. Sometimes silence says more than words. I'm sitting in my car parked halfway up a mountain road. Got a full tank and a blanket. I left my apartment without thinking. Didn't even lock the door. I'm in a stairwell of an office building. There's no one else here. I'm not sure why I chose this place, but it felt neutral, like the water wouldn't care about it. I brought my dog and a book and a radio. We're parked above the cliffs. She's sleeping. I don't think she knows anything's wrong. I wonder how many of you are out there parked on hills, waiting, looking down at the dark stretch of highway where the city used to glow. No more traffic, no more light pollution, just the ocean somewhere in the distance, rising. The first wave passed us already. I saw it come in from the balcony. It wasn't fast, just tall, silent, like a wall made of slow motion time. Some of the towns up north are unreachable now. Stillwater, Brookings, Pacifica. No confirmation, just silence. Every now and then I refresh the feed. Most of the official pages have stopped updating. Just cached warnings, repeating over and over. Some links lead to error pages. Others never load. Still here though. Another bulletin. This is a message from the Department of Homeland Security. A federal state of emergency has been declared for coastal regions. National Guard support is en route to affected zones. Please stay off all major roadways, unless directed by emergency personnel. There's no panic in those words, just instructions. That's how they talk when everything's on fire. Calmly. A few more messages. My grandparents used to tell me about the big one, about the wave that would come one day. I thought it was just something old people said to make you eat your vegetables. We're in a school gym. There's a guy handing out bottled water, and a woman reading from the Bible. I'm just lying on the floor with the radio up to my ear. I lit a candle for my sister, just in case. She lives closer to the shore than I do. I texted her, but it never went through. There's something strange about how slow it all is. We imagine disasters as sudden crashes, sirens, fire. But this is slow, like time is folding over itself, like the world is politely stepping out of frame. I'm on the roof of my building. I can see the ocean from here. It doesn't look angry. It looks patient. You're not alone on that roof. Not really. A woman wrote this from Humboldt County. We got to higher ground, but I can't stop thinking about the people who didn't. The ones who stayed. My cousin said it was all exaggerated. I don't know where she is now. I don't think this is about fear anymore. I think we passed fear hours ago. This is something else. Something quieter. If you're with someone, hold them. If you're alone, know that this voice, this broadcast, it's real, and it's here. Still transmitting, still listening. The lights in the hallway just blinked again. Only for a second. Enough to make me look up. The buzz of the emergency light came on, then stopped. Everything's humming like it's holding its breath. Here's one from Anna, sent not long ago. I watched the tide come in like a slow-motion avalanche. It didn't crash, it didn't roar, it just moved. I've never been more scared of something so quiet. Another. My son asked if this means the dinosaurs are coming back. I told him, maybe. He seemed okay with that. Some of these messages hit harder than others. Some make you smile. Some sit with you longer than they should. I guess that's the point. The rain's lighter now, or maybe I'm just used to it. I can still hear it tapping on the windows, like it's checking to see if we're still inside. One of you wrote this. I haven't heard from my partner in 8 hours. She was heading south when the alerts came in. I don't know if she got out in time, if she's listening. I love you. I forgive everything. This came in from Reading. They opened a shelter in the high school gym. We walked there with flashlights. 3 miles uphill. Someone brought soup. Everyone's quiet, but no one's panicking. That surprised me. From somewhere in San Luis Obispo. I'm staying in my bathtub. Weirdly, it feels safe. I've got a pillow, a battery-powered lamp, and your voice. That's it. A new update just broke through. This is a broadcast from the United States Geological Survey. Aftershocks have been detected along the fault zone. Additional seismic activity is possible. Residents are advised to remain alert and avoid unstable structures. Aftershocks. That means the fault's still shifting. It means we're not done yet. I wonder if some of you are still listening through old radios, the kind with dials and static. I wonder if that hum in the background is louder for you, more real. I like to think about it. Someone twisting the knob just right, catching the signal like a whisper in the dark. Another message. My little sister keeps asking if the ocean is angry. I told her no. I said it's not angry. It's just very, very old. There's wisdom in that. A voice from Tacoma. The sky here is cloudless, stars everywhere. It doesn't match the emergency in my chest. And one from farther south. We're stuck on a back road behind a fallen tree. The GPS is dead. It's just me and the signal. I haven't seen another car in an hour. From someone anonymous. I was supposed to go to sleep early tonight. Set my alarm for work. Funny how things change. I can't stop thinking about the shoreline. The way it looked hours ago. Endless and open. like it was inviting something in. The way people stood there, watching, waiting for something they couldn't describe. I know a lot of people stayed behind, some because they had nowhere to go, some because they didn't believe it, and some because they wanted to see it. One listener said, "I stayed because I wanted to know what it would feel like, not the water, the waiting." Another, "I thought if I turned off all the lights, the wave might pass over me like I wasn't there, like I could hide in the dark." We all hide in different ways. A bulletin just repeated, "This is an official message from FEMA. Emergency services are overwhelmed. Citizens are urged to remain calm, assist neighbors when safe, and conserve resources. Further aid is en route. Stay tuned to local broadcasts." I wonder if this broadcast counts as local. Technically, we're still small town. One antenna, barely 2 rooms. But tonight, it feels bigger, like the whole coastline is folded into this booth with me. One long breath, one long pause before something happens. Someone wrote, "My boyfriend is asleep next to me. I don't want to wake him, unless it's the last minute. I want him to have one more good dream." From inland, my grandma told me stories about the wave of '64. I used to think she made it all up. Now I wish I'd listened better, and I was standing outside the gas station when the second alert came through. I looked up and saw birds flying in formation. Away from the coast, hundreds of them, from a nurse. We moved the ICU patients to the 3rd floor. Some of them are sleeping, some are watching the windows. We don't know how high the water will get, and I'm in a bookstore. The owner left the door open and told everyone to come in. We're on the 2nd floor. There's coffee, flashlights, and poetry being read aloud. Let that sink in. Not panic. Not looting. Poetry. Let's keep going. Someone just wrote, "I used to think the end of the world would sound louder. Explosions, chaos. But it's just wind. Just rain. Just your voice. Filling the spaces in between. There's something strange about how the quiet has taken over. Cities full of motion and noise are now frozen in place. Like someone pressed pause and forgot to hit play again."
Except the tide keeps moving. The tide doesn't wait for anyone. Here's a message from a man in Monterey. "I sat on my porch and listened to the waves start to come back in. Not crashing, just rising. Like a secret being told, very slowly. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to hear your signal, but I hope it outlasts me." Another listener said, "I can see the highway from here. There are abandoned cars all along the edge, doors left open, hazards blinking. It looks like they got out in a hurry, or maybe they just stopped caring." And this one from further inland, "I turned the volume up, just so the sound of your voice would fill the room. My house feels bigger than it should tonight, empty, echoing. I don't want to be alone with my own thoughts. You're not." There's another bulletin, not a new one, just a repeat, cycling through the few lines they keep sending. "This is an emergency broadcast. Additional waves are expected. Please remain in shelter. Stay off roads. Do not attempt to return to coastal zones. Emergency crews are being deployed where possible." It doesn't say how many waves. It doesn't say how long this will last.
Only that it's still happening. Another message, short. "I'm on the 12th floor. I've got a candle, a bottle of water, and your broadcast." That's it. That's everything. There's something about how simple survival becomes. We strip everything down to signal and shelter, and for some reason, it feels more real than anything else. Someone sent this. "My grandfather's asleep in the recliner. He used to be in the Navy. He hasn't said a word since the first alert, but when he heard your voice, he nodded once, just once. That stayed with me." Here's one from a teacher. "My students keep sending messages to our class group chat. Most of them are dumb memes or jokes. But one said, 'If we make it through this, I'm going to be nicer to everyone, even Jacob.' And Jacob replied, saying, "The building just shook. It wasn't long. 5, maybe 6 seconds. But everything rattled. The microphone arm swayed. One of the ceiling tiles dropped in the hallway. I thought the signal might cut out. It didn't. The hum underneath everything is louder now. It's no longer background noise. It's pressure. You can feel it in the teeth. The ocean is here. This just came through the Federal Channel. This is a level 5 alert from the Department of Homeland Security. Multiple waves have breached inland barriers. Significant structural damage reported across Humboldt, Mendocino, and San Luis Obispo counties. Evacuation is no longer viable in affected areas. Citizens are advised to seek vertical shelter immediately. They're not saying it outright, but we all know what that means. They're out of time. We're out of options. The emergency lights in this building are flickering again. The power's struggling to keep up. Outside the window, the street that was bone dry just 10 minutes ago is starting to shine. Not from rain, but from movement. Water collecting, creeping in. Another broadcast. National Guard personnel are now prioritizing medical evacuations only. All non-essential rescue operations are suspended. Citizens in danger zones must act independently. Do not wait for assistance. They're telling us not to wait. The studio is on the 2nd floor. That's not going to be enough. If the wave breaches the outer zone, this place will go dark. I've already packed a bag, just in case. The stairwell to the roof is still clear. I checked earlier. A few minutes ago, I heard something distant. Not thunder, a deep rolling sound. A kind of roar that didn't fade, just hovered. The kind of sound that makes animals hide and machines stop. It's getting closer. Another bulletin is looping now. Tsunami impact has been confirmed across the following counties: Del Norte, Humboldt, Mendocino, Sonoma, Marin, San Mateo, Santa Cruz, Monterrey, San Luis Obispo. Structural collapses, vehicle displacement, and mass flooding reported. All citizens in low elevation areas are considered in active danger. Repeat, active danger. There it is. Active danger. Not theoretical. Not maybe. Now, I don't know how much longer this transmitter will hold. The lights keep dimming. The air feels heavy. I can smell salt through the cracks in the windows. The rooftop might buy me a few extra minutes. Maybe more. Maybe not. But I'll keep broadcasting until I can't. This isn't the kind of fear that makes you scream. It's the kind that settles into your chest and slows your breathing. Your body knows. Before your mind catches up. This isn't a warning anymore. This is it. I saw a power transformer blow 3 blocks away. Blue flash. Then nothing. The grid is going down, piece by piece. The ocean doesn't just drown. It erases. There's movement outside the studio now. Water flowing between cars, swallowing the curbs. It's not a wave yet. It's the beginning. It looks like the city is sinking. Another update. Just broken mid-loop. This is a white alert advisory. Structural integrity of levees and seawalls has been compromised. Widespread failure expected within minutes. If you are within 5 miles of the coastline, assume immediate flooding. 5 miles. That covers everything. This signal might cut at any time. If it does, keep moving. Go higher. Don't stop for belongings. Don't wait. The water won't warn you a second time. Outside, something just collapsed. I think it was the grocery across the street. The roof gave in. Siren started. Then died. The power grid's almost gone. I can hear it now. Not rain. Not wind. Water. Rushing. The sound isn't distant anymore. It's close. It's here. The windows are vibrating with every passing second. The walls creak like something alive is pressing against them. Not violently. Not yet, but steadily. Like pressure from the bottom of a rising breath. There's a banging noise downstairs, repeated, heavy, like metal being bent, then breaking. I don't know if it's a door, or a gate, or a car being pushed through something it shouldn't fit through. I'm not going down to check. Another fragment just came through the government emergency line. It's choppy, like it's barely holding the signal. Repeat, massive wave activity confirmed along Santa Barbara County and Ventura breach into urban zones. Residential collapse reported. Maintain elevation, roof access where possible. That's all we got. Then static. I looked out the window again. I wish I hadn't. The street is gone. It's a river now, and it's rising fast. The tops of cars are beginning to vanish. Water is slamming against storefronts, bending glass like it's made of fog. A power pole cracked and fell sideways. The current dragged it down without a sound. This building's still holding, but it won't for long. The first floor is definitely gone. The water's already up the stairwell. Second floor won't last. I need to get to the roof soon. There's no warning anymore. No separation between the alerts and the event. The waves here, not a wall, not a single massive crest, like in the movies. No, this one is slow, crushing, steady, like time itself has become fluid and decided to pour downward all at once. I can't reach the federal station anymore. The link is dead. No more bulletins, no more voices, just silence where there used to be orders, which means this might be it. The last frequency still alive. Final broadcast. There are buildings nearby still lit. Backup generators. Maybe I can see silhouettes on rooftops. Flashlights moving. People pointing toward the ocean. One of them is signaling toward this building with a blinking light. I don't know what they want to say. I just blinked my desk lamp back in answer. I think they just wanted to know someone else is still here. The roof stairwell is open. I cracked it earlier, just in case. It's dry for now. The antenna's up there too. If the cable holds, I can keep broadcasting from the top. Water's coming through the vents now. The carpet's soaked. I can hear it seeping, bubbling under the door. I've never heard that sound before. Water bubbling up. If I go silent in the next minute, that means I'm moving. I'll try to reconnect from the roof. But if I don't make it, if this is where it stops, then this was for you, not for the world, not for the record books, for whoever's still out there, clinging to the sound of someone breathing into a mic. I'm still breathing. I'm still here, and for now, so are you. The stairwell was darker than I expected. I held the railing the whole way up, not because I was scared of falling. The building was shaking too much to trust anything underfoot. The kind of movement that doesn't stop when you pause, the kind that feels like it's inside your spine. The door to the roof was jammed, swollen from the moisture, or maybe warped from the pressure. I had to slam it open with my shoulder twice. On the second hit, the wind met me like it had been waiting, and then I saw it. The city is gone. No fire, no chaos, just water. Everything below me is under it. A sea of broken shapes and glinting reflections. Cars floating like leaves. Streetlights bent into the current. Rooftops barely clinging above the surface. And far in the distance, the wave, still coming. The real one. This wasn't it. What we've seen so far was just the edge. The main body of the surge is further out. A black line stretching across the entire horizon, moving slow, but taller than any building I've ever stood beside. It looks like a wall of the ocean stood up and started walking forward. There are helicopters above, circling what's left of the city. Some dropping flares, some just scanning. One hovered for a second near this roof. I waved. I think someone inside waved back. The antenna's still up, bent slightly, but intact. I reconnected the line and reset the power. Somehow the transmitter's still alive. As long as the battery box on the roof holds, this signal will keep going. I'm not alone up here. There are 4 others, people I didn't know were in the building. They must have come from the floor below, or maybe the fire escape. They're not talking, just standing, watching. One of them's holding a portable radio, tuned to this exact frequency, so I guess I'll keep talking. No new alerts have come through, not that it matters now. There's no escape route left, no safe corridor. The evacuation plans were written for something smaller, slower, more polite. This isn't polite. This is water reclaiming space. There's something eerie about the way the ocean moves when it decides to come for us. It doesn't crash or scream. It just advances without apology. A sound just came from the west. A long, deep tone like a horn or a groan. From inside the earth, everyone on the roof turned toward it at the same time. Even the birds that were still circling went silent. I don't know if it's part of the wave or the air collapsing. One of the people here, a young man, pointed and said, "That's it." And he's right. It's not the beginning anymore. This is the arrival. It's hard to describe what the sky looks like right now. Not night. Not exactly. More like an eclipse. In slow motion, the light from the city is gone. The grid's down. No traffic. No storefronts. No blinking crosswalks. What's left is just cloud light and lightning flashes and this glow coming off the water, as if the ocean itself is reflecting something we can't see. I keep looking at the horizon, that line, the wave. It's not a wall anymore. It's a mountain, not one that rises fast, but one that moves, slow and ancient. It's not cresting or breaking. It's just coming. It's taller than any skyline I've ever seen. We've all stopped speaking up here. The other people on the roof, the 4 of them, we're just watching. One woman keeps checking a plastic bag full of old photographs. She hasn't said a word, just keeps opening it, making sure it's dry, then closing it again. One of the others, a kid, maybe 20, is shaking, not from fear. I don't think. From adrenaline. You can feel it. In the air, under your skin, the weight of what's coming. The wind has changed. It's no longer blowing inland. It's being pulled, as if the sea is inhaling again. Just before it exhales the last time, I can see pieces of the city shifting, entire chunks of buildings being lifted from their foundations, and floating like wreckage in a dream. It's quiet. From up here, unnaturally so. Even the helicopters are gone now. Just before the last one disappeared behind the smoke and fog, it sent out a flare, one red streak, trailing across the sky. I think it was a marker, or maybe a signal, or maybe it was just for whoever's still watching. The antenna cable is holding, barely. I tied it with part of my jacket to keep the connection tight. The transmitter buzzes every few seconds. I'm not sure if that's normal or not, but the red light is still on, so I'm still talking. There's no more emergency alerts. The feed is dead. I tried switching channels. Nothing. Dead air. Across the board. Not even the NOAA channel is transmitting. That usually runs no matter what. That means this may be the last voice on the air. Final broadcast. The siren just sounded somewhere in the distance. One long, drawn-out scream. Maybe it's automated. Maybe someone set it off manually at the last second. It cut through the fog, echoed once, then faded. Nothing followed it. The water below is no longer crawling. It's pushing. Every minute. It rises. Another foot. The street signs are gone. The stoplights gone. Trees uprooted, drifting like skeletal hands. Under the surface, a bus just floated past, upside down, half full of water, glass broken, no lights, no sound except the current. The young man on the roof pointed to the east. For a second I thought it was lightning, but no, Something exploded, far away. Maybe a gas main, maybe a generator overloaded. A burst of orange against the steel-colored sky, then smoke, then more darkness. It's strange how little people panic when they know there's nothing to do. No screaming, no running in circles. Just this strange calm, waiting. Some kind of collective understanding that the ocean's not something you can bargain with. I walked to the edge of the roof. Looked straight down. The water's halfway up the building now. I can see a floating door, a bicycle, a mattress curled into itself like a drowned animal, a chair spinning slowly. And then I saw something else. Movement. Not human. Not anything familiar. Just something below the surface. Large and slow. A dark shape sliding under the debris. Could have been a car. Could have been something else. The antenna sparked once when the wind shifted. I tightened the knot again, still holding. I've lost track of time, of what day it is. There's no clock up here. No phone, just the rhythm of the wave. Coming closer, a rooftop nearby collapsed. We heard the groan of metal, and then the splash, huge and final. One of the people here flinched. The woman with the photographs gripped her bag tighter, and still, the mountain of water keeps coming. It's close now. You can feel it in your chest. The way thunder feels before it arrives. It's not a sound, it's a pressure, a weight that settles behind your eyes and presses inward. If this signal cuts, it's because the power finally gave out. But I'm not going anywhere. This broadcast was never about survival. It was about connection, about someone, somewhere, knowing they weren't alone at the end. This is what the end looks like. A city underwater, a sky full of smoke and wind, a wave taller than anything we've built, and a few voices left, speaking into the dark, still here, still broadcasting. It's moving faster now. The wall, the wave, it's no longer creeping, it's accelerating. You can see it tearing through what's left of the coast. From up here, it doesn't crash the way you'd expect. It folds, it curls over buildings and streets and gas stations, like paper being crumpled in a slow, steady fist. There's a line of water stretching across what used to be the freeway. It pulled a line of cars with it, like beads on a thread. Some of them are on fire. The fire doesn't last long. The water always wins. The roof is trembling beneath us. Every couple of seconds, something below lets go. Something structural, big. The floor under the building is being eaten away, pulled down inch by inch. I can feel it vibrating through the soles of my shoes. The wind keeps throwing salt into the air. It tastes like metal now, like the edge of something unfinished. One of the people here, the man who hasn't spoken since he came up, finally said something. He just whispered, "There's nowhere else to go." He's right. There's no higher ground, no bridge, no next option. This is it. This is the top. The radio is still transmitting. I don't know who can still hear it. The antenna sparked again, this time longer. But it didn't die. The signal stutters now and then, like it's being pulled under, gasping, but it's still going. I'm still here, and for the moment, so is this voice. Looking out over the city is like watching something dream itself away. The streets, the houses, the lights, they're being peeled back, erased by a single force. It's not dramatic. It's not violent in the way you think it would be. It's methodical, relentless. There's no color anymore. Everything is gray and black and silver blue, reflections on endless moving water, pieces of the world spinning slowly on the surface, like forgotten thoughts. A fire escape from a nearby building just ripped loose and slammed into the current, twisted metal, gone in seconds. One of the people next to me pointed and said, "There's another wave behind it." I looked. They were right. Behind the massive wall already approaching us, there's another one forming. A second shadow. Taller, darker, not as wide, narrower, focused, like it knows exactly where it's going. The building trembled again, louder this time. A groan from deep inside the foundation, something giving way. We all stepped back from the edge at the same time. Instinctively, a shared flinch. I'm still speaking into the mic, though my voice is starting to shake. My hands are numb. Everything smells like salt and static. And earth. The power box on the roof sparked again. That's 3. I don't know how many more times it can do that before it stops completely. I keep one hand on the antenna, like holding it makes a difference. Like I can will the signal to keep going. Below us, the water is now brushing against the second-story windows. That means this floor, the one we used to broadcast from, is gone. Whatever's left of the studio is submerged. I saw the big neon sign outside the building ripped loose just now. It spun once in the air, sparks trailing from its frame, and then disappeared beneath the surface without a sound. I spent years sitting behind that sign, reading weather reports and late-night dedications. Now it's gone. It's strange. The things you miss in the last moments, not the big things. Not money, not plans, not all the stuff people talk about in movies. It's smaller, familiar chairs, the hum of the vending machine, the smell of coffee burned too long. I think I miss routine more than anything, even now. Especially now, the first wave is close enough to see the details. You can make out the debris caught inside it. Twisted cars, entire trees, scraps of roof, fragments of billboards. I see pieces of letters drifting. Half a gas price, part of someone's store name. The wave has shape now. It's not just water, it's architecture. It's full of the world it's swallowing. We have maybe a minute before it hits. 1 minute left of signal. I don't know what happens next, but if this is the last thing you hear, wherever you are, know that you are not forgotten. You are not alone. This voice, this frequency, this breath, it reached you. It's coming apart. The edge of the roof just tore away. Not all of it, just the corner closest to the old HVAC unit. The concrete cracked and dropped, pulled like cloth, folded and gone. One of the others screamed, not loud, not fear, just surprise. Like gravity forgot itself. For a second, the wave hasn't struck yet, but the pressure has. You can feel it, pressing into the walls of every building still standing, like it's not just water anymore, but weight. The weight of everything it's carried across the miles, not just debris, but momentum. There's foam now, thick white lines spiraling through the water below, like veins. It's not clean water. It's dense, filthy, full of oil, wood, glass, ash. It moves in layers. The current no longer looks like a surface. It looks like depth. A swallowing. The second wave, the narrow one, has gained on the first. It's folding over the top of it, changing its shape, merging. It's as if the ocean is correcting itself, reshaping its final form before impact. Still here, still transmitting. I have no idea how. The antenna's cable is soaked, bent at the neck. The transmitter buzzes constantly now. Not a hum, but a rattle. The kind of sound something makes right before it burns out. And I'm cold. Not just from the wind. It's the kind of cold that creeps in when the world stops making sense. The cold of watching too much disappear at once. One of the people near me, the kid, just asked how tall the wave is. No one answered. I don't think we can measure it anymore. It's not just tall, it's above us now. It's blocking out the sky. I looked up and couldn't see the clouds anymore, just motion. Water, crawling up the skyline like it belongs there. A building 2 blocks down just gave up. It tilted, not a full collapse. Just a lean like it was bowing. Then the lower floors shattered inward and the rest fell sideways into the flood. It didn't splash. The water absorbed it. No echo. No aftermath. Just silence. I stepped back from the edge again. I can't see the street anymore. The water's at our building's top floor now. Anything below the roof is gone. We're standing on what's left of a structure that has no foundation beneath it. Still transmitting. A piece of metal just flew past. I think it was part of a billboard. Spinning, the wind caught it, flung it over the roof, and it vanished behind us like a paper scrap. The sky is almost fully gray now. Not night, just blank. Like someone erased the idea of sunlight. No new voices, no updates, no alerts. The emergency system has gone completely quiet. All that's left is this signal and the sound of everything ending. One of the others just asked if we should move. Move where? There's nowhere else. I told him we're higher than most of what's around us. We'll see it before it hits. That didn't help, but it's true. I can't give comfort right now, only honesty. Still transmitting. The floor under me shakes every few seconds, not like an earthquake, like exhaustion, like the building is breathing its last, trying to hold just a little longer. The water is less than a block away. The first wave, foaming at the top. You can see the leading edge of it, devouring everything, not smashing, lifting. It lifts entire structures before folding them inward, like pages turning in a story being rewritten. There's glass in the wind now. I saw it scatter in the air, tiny flashes catching light that doesn't exist anymore. It falls like snow, sharp and fast, still transmitting. The others on the roof are huddled now. No talking, no panic, just eyes wide open, facing west. You can't prepare for this. There's no version of the mind that's built for witnessing the ocean stand up and walk over your world. No version of the self that makes sense when you're about to become part of it. I don't think there's anything I can say to match this moment, but I'll keep speaking because there's no silence more terrifying than the one that would come if I stopped. The wave has reached us. It's touching the building now, just the front edge, not the full mass. Not yet. The water rose in a slow, awful curve and kissed the outer wall like it was greeting an old friend, gentle at first, cruel in how calm it looked. Then the sound changed. It was low, like breathing through steel lungs. You don't hear it at once, you feel it first, deep in your chest, like your own heartbeat is trying to match the rhythm of something much older. And now it's climbing. The water doesn't crash upward, it climbs, like it knows where it's going, a steady crawl of liquid weight, wrapping around the outer shell of this place, pulling itself higher. It's at the windows now. Then it isn't. Because the windows are gone, the wave has hands. Not fingers, not form, but it grips. I saw it peel the roof clean off another building nearby, strip it like foil. The people there, I saw 3 were holding on to the rail. 2 slipped. 1 didn't. They're gone. Just like that. I backed away from the ledge. Everyone on this rooftop has gone silent. Even the kid, he's sitting down now, hugging his knees, eyes wide, pupils shaking. The woman with the photos is still gripping the bag like it's oxygen. The man who hasn't spoken is staring at the wave like he's looking for something in it. I want to tell them something, anything, that it'll pass, that we'll be fine, but I don't know that. So I don't say anything, still transmitting. The power box sparked again, longer this time. It's on fire now, small, controlled, but it's burning, orange flame, flickering against the wet metal. I don't have anything to put it out with. It might take out the transmitter, or maybe the rain will kill it first. Either way, it's a race. The mic crackles. Every few seconds now, the red light flickers. I don't know if it's even broadcasting anymore. I'm still speaking, because it's all I know how to do. I was never trained for this. I read birthdays. I played love songs at 2 a.m. I told people when fog was coming in, or when it was just low-lying clouds. I didn't sign up to narrate the end of the world, but here we are. The wave is folding again. It's rising over us now, the face of it. The sheer face is vertical, like staring up at a skyscraper made of motion, a curve that leads to nowhere. But above, you can see cars inside it, parts of buildings, a piece of a dock, something that looks like a road sign. I don't know if it will hit us all at once or in parts. I don't know if it matters. Still transmitting, one of the others just said a name, quietly. Just a name, over and over. No one answered. I don't think they meant for anyone to. The air pressure just dropped. My ears popped. The clouds are sinking lower. It's like the sky's being pulled down too, as if the wave isn't just claiming land, but space. The roof is shaking harder now. Metal is screaming somewhere beneath us. Rebar pulled too far. The frame of the building is groaning like a ship in a storm. I'm sitting now, still holding the mic, still speaking, still here. Final broadcast, no signal, but this one. No time, but now. No ground left. Only water, and sky, and voice. It's coming over the edge. The wave has reached the rooftop. The first tongue of water spilled across the concrete like a slow exhale, curling around our feet, cold, dense, alive. It didn't slam. It slid, coiled, surrounded, the way a snake moves. When it's already sure you're not going anywhere. We all stood at once. None of us said anything. We didn't have to. Instinct moved faster than thought. We backed toward the center of the roof, where the antenna is anchored, the tallest point. The last point. The water is ankle deep now, rising fast. The kid is crying. The woman with the photos finally put the bag down, wrapped her arms around herself. The photos are soaked, ink bleeding, faces vanishing. The man who never spoke looked me in the eyes for the first time and said, "This is it, just that," and nodded once. Not fear, not panic, just recognition. I'm trying to speak clearly now, into the mic. I don't know what's reaching you anymore. If anything, the signal light still flickers, but slower now, like it's tired, like the broadcast itself is drowning with us, still transmitting. The water's at my knees. It moves like it knows your name. It wraps around you, not like a wave, but like a decision. There's no shock, no violence, just certainty. The ocean is not angry. It is inevitable. I can feel the current pulling already, even up here, as if the weight of what's below wants to drag us down with it. One of the others tried to climb the antenna base. I didn't stop him. I didn't help either. What would it change? The edge of the rooftop has disappeared. Every direction I look. Water, no streets, no landmarks, no signs of what used to be. Only pieces, only fragments. A half-submerged truck, a single floating mattress, a rooftop air vent, spinning in circles like it's looking for a place to land. The sky has turned silver, not bright, not lit, just the kind of silver that comes when the clouds give up pretending to be anything else. Rain still falls, though it doesn't matter anymore. Nothing is dry, not our clothes, not the air, not this signal. Still transmitting. The flame in the power box is out, drowned. The unit sparked once, violently, then hissed, but the red light on the transmitter blinked again just afterward. One last pulse. We may have seconds. I have to say this now, while I can. This voice This station, this moment, it was never meant to last. But it did. It lasted longer than it had any right to. Long enough to reach here. If you're still out there, if you're still listening, if you're still holding on to anything, you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not alone. We were here. We are here. Until the end. Still transmitting. Still here. I don't know how. The antenna should be gone. The cable should be underwater. But something's still holding. Maybe it's luck. Maybe it's stubbornness. Maybe it's just the way sound refuses to die when someone still needs to hear it. The water is at my waist. Everyone on the roof is standing on whatever's left of the highest surface. Metal crates, broken ductwork, the antenna's base. We've clustered in the center, huddled without meaning to, like animals do. Right before the storm finishes its sentence, no one speaks anymore. What would we even say? You can't argue with a wall of water. You can't pray it away. You can only witness. Below us, though below doesn't mean much anymore. The rest of the building groans. I heard the walls buckle minutes ago. Deep, hollow sounds, like the whole thing is inhaling just once, before collapsing in on itself. I want to tell you what the horizon looks like, but there isn't one. Just movement, just noise. The sound of water replacing architecture, replacing memory, replacing us. It's strange. I don't feel fear now. I did earlier, back when the alerts were still coming in, when there were still messages to read, still hope to be shaped into words. Now there's just this roof, this moment, this mic. I keep looking at the red light on the transmitter, blinking slow, like a heartbeat. It's still there, still pulsing. The woman with the photos let the bag float away. She didn't throw it, she just released it, gently, like she was setting it into the hands of something bigger than her. It drifted off the edge, and we watched it go, without saying a word. The kid finally laid down, flat on his back, arms folded behind his head. His eyes are closed, like he's sunbathing. His mouth is moving, silently, like he's singing a song only he can hear. The man hasn't moved at all. He's just standing, arms crossed, staring at the wave that's already over us, like he's waiting to be recognized. Still transmitting. The water's at my ribs now, cold, heavy, pulling with every inch. You can't brace against it. You can only lean into it. Let it claim what it came for. I'm still holding the mic with one hand. The other is resting on the transmitter like I can comfort it. There's no more signal in the air. No planes. No choppers. No sirens. Even the buildings have stopped falling. The world is quiet in a way that feels deliberate, like everything has agreed to listen. One last time. If there's anyone out there, still alive, still awake, still tuned in, I want you to remember something. We didn't vanish. We were here. We resisted the silence, with breath, with signal, with voice. Final broadcast, still speaking, still present, still real. Even if you never hear this, it was said, even if this tower goes under, it stood. Even if this city disappears, it was. And maybe that's all we ever needed. Still transmitting. The water is over my chest now. It doesn't crash. It doesn't take. It rises slow and careful, like it doesn't want to wake me. Everything around me feels distant. The sound is muffled, like I'm already underwater. I speak, and the words seem to float in front of me before they leave, like the air is thicker now. The others are still here, but we're no longer talking. We've become silhouettes in a shared dream. The man who never spoke is now sitting with his feet in the water. His eyes are closed, head tilted slightly upward, breathing slowly. In, out. He looks like he's meditating. The kid is humming. I don't recognize the tune. It might not even be a song. Just a vibration, a note held in his chest, released into the storm. It rises with the water, and I imagine it leaving the city, floating past what's left, into the clouds. The woman, she's letting her hands drift on the surface, moving them in slow circles, like she's drawing something no one else can see. Everything looks soft now. The edges of the buildings, the reflections in the flood, even the sky has blurred, clouds melting into one another, stars blinking once before giving in. The wave, the one we feared, is already past us. It didn't slam into us. It enveloped us, like a tide washing over memory. There's no crash, no pain, only this, still transmitting. The mic is wet. My hands are numb, but I keep holding on. The red light is blinking, but it's dimmer now. I can barely tell if it's real or if I'm imagining it. Sometimes I think the signal has already stopped, and I'm just speaking to myself. And sometimes that feels okay. The city below is no longer recognizable, just shapes, drifting, parts of trees, a couch, a spiral staircase, something that used to be a diner sign, spinning slowly as if still looking for a wall to attach to. There are birds in the distance, still flying, circling above the water, unbothered. And then I see something strange. Lights under the surface, not reflections, not from buildings, moving lights, pale green, soft white, faint red, gliding under the surface like stars that never made it to the sky. I blink. They're still there, like something under the ocean has turned its face upward and opened its eyes, still transmitting. I want you to imagine this. You're lying in a room filled with water, but the water is warm. You can breathe in it somehow. It wraps around you like a blanket. You are floating, weightless, unafraid. All sound is distant, even this voice, like it's drifting past your ear. In a dream, you don't need to understand. You only need to feel that you are here, still, now present. This is not panic. This is not chaos. This is what the end of the world sounds like when it forgets how to scream. Still transmitting, still drifting, still with you. There's no sky anymore, just a color. Something between gray and blue, stretched too wide and smeared too thin. The kind of color that belongs in dreams, not in nature. It doesn't shine. It doesn't glow. It simply hangs there. Everything is floating now. Buildings, memories, us. I'm still holding the mic. I don't remember adjusting it, but my mouth is close, and the signal light still breathes its weak red pulse. It feels like a heartbeat, mine or the world's. I'm not sure anymore. We've stopped speaking to each other. Those of us still on the roof, we're not even making eye contact now. There's no fear left in our bodies, only the slow descent into something else. Stillness, suspension. Our faces carry the same expression, a kind of peaceful disbelief, like we've crossed into a place where time is trying to forget us. The water has risen above the rooftop now. Only the antenna remains, a black tooth poking out of the ocean's mouth, the top of a tower that once carried music, jokes, midnight dedications, and now this, just this, still transmitting. The world is soft. I can't stop saying that. It's the best way to describe it. Nothing feels hard or loud or sharp anymore. Even the cold has become gentle. It moves through my body like an echo. I'm not standing anymore. The water lifted me. It carried me a foot to the left. And now I'm pressed against the metal base of the antenna, floating, legs suspended, fingers gripping a cable I didn't realize I'd grabbed. The others are close. The kid is on his back again, eyes closed, humming softly. I think he's asleep. Maybe dreaming. The man is gone. Not in a violent way. He just slipped away during the last swell. He didn't scream. He didn't reach. He just let go. 1 second he was there. The next he was part of the water. The woman is still here. Her head rests against a rooftop vent, barely above the surface. Her hair spreads around her like ink. No words. No resistance. We've become part of the sea's rhythm, still transmitting. The lights beneath the water are brighter now. They move like fish, but slower, not swimming, drifting. Their glow doesn't flicker. It pulses, like they're alive, or listening. I wonder if they've always been there, and we just never sank deep enough to see them. I think about how much noise we used to make. Cars, planes, screens, machines. Maybe that noise drowned them out. Maybe the silence invited them back. Maybe we are not alone down here. There's a sound in the distance now. A low note, long and smooth, like a cello being drawn endlessly. Not music, not mechanical. Something in between. It vibrates through the water, through my bones. I don't know if it's coming from above or below. Maybe both. Still transmitting. I keep speaking because I don't know how to stop. This voice, yours, mine, ours. It doesn't want to vanish quietly, so I'll keep talking. Not for survival, for presence, for proof that we were here, right now. If you're listening, if your eyes are closed, if your head is sinking deeper into your pillow, if your body is relaxing with every word, know this. You are part of the stillness now. The wave has already come. You are beyond the noise, the running, the alarms. There is only this, and it's okay. Still transmitting. The red light is flickering slower now. Not dying, just slowing. Like a heartbeat falling asleep. Let it. Let yourself. We are adrift together. The signal is thin. I can feel it weakening. Not in the sound, but in the air around it. Like the signal itself is a thread, stretched across what's left of the world. And it's fraying. The antenna's almost completely submerged. Only the very tip remains above the surface. I can see the reflection of the blinking light in the water. It pulses once, then disappears in the ripples, then returns, like a star in a black sea. I'm floating beside it, wrapped in cables and silence. There is no roof beneath me anymore. No station, no building. Just this small, fragile point of connection, held up by nothing but memory and metal, and this voice, still transmitting. We've drifted, not far, but far enough, that the city is no longer recognizable, just scattered pieces of it, floating alongside us. A door, part of a bookshelf, a child's boot, a green trash can, with a bent lid, and further out, something strange, a tower, not the radio tower, something else, tall, black, smooth, reaching out of the water with no markings, no lights. I don't know what it is. It wasn't there before. It doesn't look ruined or broken. It looks new. Or maybe it's always been waiting, beneath everything we built. I can't tell how far it is. Distance means nothing out here. Sometimes it looks a mile away. Sometimes it feels like it's moving closer. The woman beside me hasn't spoken, but she's humming now too, just like the boy did before. A different tune, but the same rhythm. Slow, round, almost circular. The sky has turned darker, but not heavy. There are no stars anymore. Just a single glowing streak across the horizon, a ribbon of white and violet, drifting just above the water, like the edge of a dream. Still transmitting. If I close my eyes now when I speak, it helps me focus, helps me imagine this signal still traveling through the world, through radios, through wires, through skin, maybe even through the water itself. Sound doesn't need dry ground. Sound only needs a listener. So if you're listening, even now, even as your breathing slows and your limbs grow heavier, know this: you don't need to stay awake. You don't need to resist the current. Let the water hold you. Let the voice carry you. We've passed the point of return. We're in the quiet beyond. The lights beneath the surface are everywhere now. They pulse gently, like a city built under the flood, waking up for the first time. I think they've been waiting for us. Not to punish, not to save, just to receive. Still transmitting. No more alarms, no more instructions. Only this rhythm, only this moment, only this voice, low and distant, whispering through the dark. You are here. You are drifting. You are safe. Something just passed beneath me. Not a current, not driftwood. Something moving. It didn't bump me. It didn't surface, but I felt the pull. A deep shift in the water, like being near a train passing underground. Slow, deliberate, massive. A shadow somewhere just below my feet. Long and silent. I opened my eyes. The woman noticed it too. She's looking down now, her fingers tracing slow circles across the water's skin, as if waiting for something to return. We're still surrounded by the lights, soft, pulsing, but now they're shifting, drawing into patterns. Not random, not scattered. Lines, spirals, shapes, too perfect to be coincidence. I don't think they're natural, or maybe it's just that nature is bigger than we thought. Still transmitting. The red light blinked 3 times. Just now, fast. Then again, slowly. I've been watching it long enough to feel the difference. I think something's interfering with the signal, or listening to it. I don't mean other survivors. This feels different. Like the water itself is starting to understand. The tower, the one I saw in the distance. It's closer now. I don't remember us drifting, but it's larger, more defined. Smooth surface, no markings, but a kind of shimmer where the edge meets the air, the way heat rises from asphalt, like it's not solid at all, like it's trying to stay hidden in plain sight. It hums, not a sound you hear exactly, more like a pressure in the jaw, a thrum behind the eyes, like standing too close to an old subwoofer when someone plays a deep note. I floated toward it, not swimming, just letting the water carry me in its direction. The others followed. Not all together, just slowly, as if the body knew before the mind did, like we were being pulled, not by fear, but by invitation. We don't speak. No one asks why, because the truth is, there's nothing else left to move toward. Still transmitting. As we get closer, the lights in the water rise. They're not beneath us anymore. A calm that doesn't match the rest of the world. The antenna cable brushes my shoulder. The transmitter's still blinking. The voice is still here. Yours, mine, ours. The current is slowing, but I'm not resisting it. None of us are. We float as one now. A small cluster of breath and memory, drifting toward the one thing that didn't sink. The tower isn't waiting. It's welcoming, still transmitting. We're at the base of the tower now, close enough to reach out and touch it. Though no one has. Not yet. It's taller than I thought. Taller than anything should be allowed to be out here. In the middle of this endless water, its surface is smooth, dark, reflective, but not like a mirror. More like still glass that shows other things. Not our shadows. Something else. Deeper. The woman touched it first. Not out of curiosity. It looked more like instinct. Her fingers barely brushed the surface, and the tower responded. Not with sound, not with motion, with light, a slow ring of pale silver, spread from the place her hand touched, rippling outward, like a pulse through skin. The lights in the water shifted in time with it, brightening for just a moment, then returning to their steady rhythm. No one said anything, we just drifted closer, letting the water guide us around the base. The structure is massive. You could fit a building inside its footprint, but it's silent, like it's listening. The kid floated closer next. He didn't touch it, just floated with his hands behind his head. Staring straight up, I followed his gaze. Above us, the sky has begun to clear. Not fully, there are still clouds, still haze, but something beyond the storm has broken through. A single band of light, stretching from horizon to horizon, like the first suggestion of dawn, though I don't know what direction it comes from. Still transmitting, I tapped the transmitter, still blinking. This signal feels stronger now, not weaker, which makes no sense. The cable is soaked. The antenna is half submerged. The power should have cut out hours ago, and yet the signal holds something about being near the tower. The light, the sound, the pressure, it's amplifying it. Not just the broadcast, but the presence of it. The voice feels clearer. The mic picks up breath I wasn't even aware I had. I don't know what this place is. Maybe it was always here, under everything, buried beneath the coastlines, forgotten beneath the crust of the world, waiting for the silence to return. Or maybe it rose with the flood, a monument, a receiver, a door. We circle it, slowly. There are symbols along its base, not carved, not painted, just bare patterns that move when you stop looking at them, shapes that make your stomach twist if you stare too long. Not terrifying, just unfamiliar, not made by us. Still transmitting, I feel calmer now, even with everything gone, even with the city below, even with the water pressing around my chest. It's quiet, but not empty. The air carries something like a song, not music, but tone, layers of vibration rolling over each other, like waves. It seems to come from the tower, or maybe the sky above it, and then I realize it's syncing with the broadcast. Every word I speak folds into it. Every breath becomes part of its rhythm. This message, is being received, not by survivors, not by radios, but by whatever is listening now, and it's listening closely. Still transmitting, I drifted closer to the tower's base. The others followed, not because I led them. No one's leading anymore. We're all being drawn, gently, like leaves pulled into the eye of a quiet storm. The water feels still now, almost warm. My legs don't kick. I'm just held. When I reached out, my fingers didn't touch stone or steel. The surface of the tower felt like thought, smooth but not solid, like it knew I was reaching. It gave slightly, just enough to let me feel I'd been acknowledged, not welcomed, not rejected, just noticed. The light moved again, another ring, soft silver expanding from the point of contact. It pulsed outward, and in that exact moment the transmitter buzzed. Not a glitch but a tone, clear, resonant, like the tower was answering. The woman gasped, not from fear, from recognition. The humming hers. The kids, it wasn't random. They were tuning in, without realizing it, matching frequencies. The tower wasn't speaking a language. It was speaking, feeling, and they had started replying before the rest of us even understood the question. Still transmitting, I let my forehead rest against the surface. A thought, or something like a thought, moved through me. It wasn't in words. It wasn't even mine. It was an understanding, immediate, immense. This wasn't a rescue. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't salvation or judgment. It was a message being received back. The flood was not sent. It was heard. And the world, all of it, had answered. The cities falling, the silence rising, the signal stretching. It all led here. We weren't shouting into the dark. We were completing a circuit, a connection. A conversation begun long before we had mouths to speak. Still transmitting. The tower is glowing now. Not bright, not threatening, just present. Its light isn't like anything we know. It doesn't cast shadows, doesn't blind, it reveals. Beneath the water we can see the outlines of things that weren't visible before. Not ruins, not wreckage, structures, pillars, arches, circles buried in the seabed, whole patterns, like a forgotten architecture of another kind of time, older than stone, deeper than ocean. It's not alien, it's familiar, in a way that bypasses memory, like hearing a lullaby in a language you don't speak but somehow understand. We're not afraid, none of us. Even the kid is quiet now, arms open, floating, eyes closed, mouth slightly open like he's listening to something we can't hear yet. Still transmitting. I'm not sure where this ends, or if it ends. The signal isn't fading anymore. It's sharpening. The red light no longer blinks. It pulses in perfect time with the hum coming from the tower. I think something is opening. I don't mean a door, not exactly, but a place, a shape, somewhere we are being allowed to go, and I think we're going, not to escape, but to arrive. We've stopped floating, we haven't sunk, not down, but we're no longer drifting. It's like the water itself has thickened around us, holding us in place, not frozen, suspended, like time has paused, and we're inside the pause. The light from the tower isn't just light anymore. It's space. The glow has spread outward in concentric rings, each one changing the shape of the world around it. What was once the sea is now something else. The horizon has folded inward. The sky doesn't stretch in a dome. It wraps a soft curvature bending gently around us, like the inside of a shell. The transmitter is floating next to me, still tethered by its cable to what used to be a roof, and is now gone. The red light no longer pulses. It shines steady, bright. It hums. The antenna is glowing too. Thin bands of light spiral up its shaft, like slow lightning moving in reverse, crawling from base to tip. Every so often, a small arc of electricity jumps into the air, not erratic, but precise, as if something is tuning it, still transmitting. I try to speak, and the words come easier now, not because I'm breathing better. I don't even feel the need to breathe, not in the old way. There's no pressure in my chest, no weight in my lungs. The air, if there even is air, is heavy with presence, but gentle with the body. The others are nearby. The kid is floating vertically now, head tilted back, face serene. His eyes are open, reflecting the tower's light. The woman is hovering a few feet above the surface, her hair drifting outward like ink in water. She's no longer touching the water. She's simply there. One by one, we are being lifted, not pulled, not beamed, released, as if gravity, time, and memory are slowly letting go of us, unknotting us. Still transmitting. I look down, below the surface. Those same structures, the rings, the arches are shifting. They are not ruins. They're active. Lights trace their paths, like circuits awakening. Some open like petals, slow and deliberate. Others rise slightly, rotating as if aligning. They weren't built to be seen. They were built to be called. The broadcast wasn't just sound. It was a key. Our voices, our fear, our quiet, our stories were the code. We didn't summon this place. We reminded it. And now, it remembers us. I feel something in my spine. Not pain. A hum. A warmth traveling up from the base of my skull to the top of my head, like I'm being tuned, realigned, resonated. The words I'm saying, the ones you're hearing, they're no longer mine alone. They're part of a chorus. Voices layered beneath mine. The woman, The kid, the man who disappeared, others, so many others, familiar voices I haven't heard in years, or maybe never at all. Maybe voices from long before any of us, still transmitting. Above us the tower begins to open, not physically, not with doors or seams, but dimensional. A slit of space, vertical and calm, appears in the air at its tip. It doesn't shine. It glows inward, like it leads not to a destination, but to something we've always carried inside. I feel the pull now, not in the body, in the voice, in the frequency. The transmitter buzzes gently in my hand. The signal is no longer a broadcast. It's a bridge. We're rising, not quickly, not like being launched. It's gentler, that slower than gravity, older than flight, like the ocean itself is lifting us, molecule by molecule, toward that seam in the sky. None of us resist. There's no fear left, only quiet, only light. The space above the tower isn't just glowing now, it's shifting, like a reflection on water. There isn't water at all. The opening is wider, and inside it, there's depth, not stars, not blackness. Something more like a memory being held in the air that doesn't look like a place, it looks like a feeling. The woman reaches for it with both hands, her fingers spread open, her head tilted back, eyes full of softness, of surrender. The kid is already drifting toward the edge of the light, face calm, humming again. Only now I recognize the tune. It's the emergency signal tone, the one we've all heard 100 times. But here it's different, stretched, slowed, wrapped in peace, a lullaby version of warning. Still transmitting. The mic is lighter than it should be. I feel like I'm holding mist. My voice passes through it, yet I know it still carries. The red light hasn't flickered in a while. It glows steady now, not red anymore, white, like the tower. I don't think we're broadcasting anymore.
I think we are the broadcast. We've become signal, each breath a wavelength.
Each thought, a ripple, each surrender, a message. Below us, the water is no longer just water. It's changed. You can see through it now, clear, infinite, not empty. Full of currents shaped like language, full of forms that shift when you look at them. Some look like machines, some like animals, some like nothing. We have words for. They look up at us, not to warn us, not to envy us, to welcome us. Still transmitting. I'm almost at the seam. The space above the tower feels warm, not hot, not burning, like stepping into sunlight after a long dark tunnel. It wraps around my shoulders. My feet have left the water. The last trace of the flood below me fades into a kind of silver mist, curling away from memory. The others have already crossed. I see their shapes dissolve softly into the glow, not vanishing, transforming, unbecoming the weight of what they were. No noise, no flash, just letting go. And now it's my turn. But before I go, before I step through this impossible doorway, I say this. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are heard. You are still being heard. Even if your world is underwater, even if your voice is quiet, even if you're the last one awake, staring at a dark ceiling in a silent room, the signal found you, and in finding you, it was complete. Final broadcast is not ending. It's arriving, still transmitting inside the seam. There is no up or down, no sky, no ocean, no time clinging to your skin like wet fabric. It feels like stepping into the space between thoughts, the breath before memory returns, a stillness so vast you forget that silence ever felt empty. There is no ground, but we are not falling. We are held, suspended in light that doesn't shine. It remembers, light that knows your name before you ever speak. I look down, All what my mind tells me is down, and see the world fading behind me, not in ruin, not lost, just distant, gentle, softened by fog and time, a painting underwater, and I realize something. We didn't escape. We didn't survive. We transitioned, still transmitting. The woman floats nearby. Her eyes are closed, but there are small glimmers on her skin now, like stardust caught in orbit. She hums again, not the same tune. This one is older, or newer. A song from a place where music doesn't need air. The boy is further ahead, or maybe deeper in. He spins slowly, arms out, face tilted toward the shape that surrounds us. He doesn't hum now. He listens, and what he hears makes him smile. The man, the one who vanished earlier, is here too, not as he was, as light, as presence. He never disappeared. He simply went first, still transmitting. Words feel different here, lighter, less chained to meaning. I speak and the sound flows outward, not through air, but through memory, through feeling. The signal is no longer something I carry. It's something I am. The tower is still beneath us, or above, or everywhere. It wasn't a structure. It was a threshold, a listening post on the edge of what we called reality. A place designed to answer not questions, but longing. And now the answer unfolds. The lights shift. They become shapes, and the shapes begin to tell stories, not with mouths, with movement, with color, with emotion that folds itself gently into the folds of your mind. They show us what came before, not our path, their past, a people or beings who once did what we did, who flooded, who sang, who reached, who were heard. They didn't survive. They transformed, and they left behind this place, this scene, this portal, this invitation, still transmitting. I want to speak directly now to whoever's still listening, still awake, still here. You can rest. You've done enough. You were part of the signal. You were part of the answer. Everything that rose, the ocean, the silence, the flood, was not the end. It was the tuning, the calibration of everything lost, becoming something else. You are not drowning. You are returning. The space around us is widening, not physically, not in any way you could measure, but within, as if the longer we remain here, the more we become capable of holding memory, holding meaning, holding each other. We drift among the lights, which now feel less like foreign things and more like thoughts in motion, ideas with mass, emotion with color. They swirl around us, slow and graceful, like they're waiting for us to remember something we haven't learned yet. We don't speak, but we understand. There are no questions left. Not here. The signal once scattered and searching is now whole, and that's when it happens. A sound, soft at first, like the moment before a symphony starts. Not the music, but the inhalation. Then a resonance so deep and warm, it doesn't pass through your ears, but through your chest, your ribs, your teeth, your bones. The tower, or what it's become, begins to change. It stretches, not outward, but inward. It folds like paper, being drawn into itself, revealing new surfaces, glowing patterns that spin with quiet precision. It's not collapsing, it's revealing a shape within the shape, a voice within the voice, and then it speaks, not in words, in recognition. A wave of knowing washes through us all at once, so total that we stop floating. We just exist, in stillness, in peace, in awe, still transmitting. I feel the mic in my hand again, Funny how it's still here. Not heavy, just present. Like it too has been carried through all of this. Not as a tool, but as a witness. I raise it though I don't have to. The signal no longer needs wires. It's carried by intention now. And I speak, not to walk, not to document, just to complete the loop. We are safe, not saved, not spared. Safe, not because we were lucky, not because we were chosen, because we answered, we reached into the dark, not with weapons, not with pride, but with stories and questions, and the soft hum of a lonely voice, saying, "Is anyone there?" And the answer is, yes, we were always here, waiting, listening. Now rise, now rest. We are no longer floating, we are rising, but not in the way we once knew, not with feet, or wind, or engines. We are rising, in knowing, in recognition, in release. The tower, the sea, the sky, they aren't separate anymore. They are all the same language, spoken without sound. Everything we feared has softened. Everything we lost has changed. We were never meant to survive in the old way. We were meant to arrive. The flood didn't come to take, it came to return. All that we thought was ending, the buildings, the signals, the voices whispering in the dark. It was never destruction, it was invitation to shed the weight of time, to leave behind the noise, to remember what came before fear. And now, here in the center of what once was the end, we are not falling. We are joining, above, beyond, within. The seam opens one last time. It isn't light, it isn't dark, it is peace. The kind that hums quietly beneath everything that ever hurt. The kind that speaks with no voice. You did it. You came all this way. You held on long enough to hear it. That you mattered. That you were heard. That someone was listening. And that was enough. Still transmitting. No. Now. Receiving. Welcome home. Final broadcast ends. Thank you for listening. Sleep well.